Bearing 1 from Sriamas, drive 0.0462 km with the bearing of 270 degree until you reach the junction between Lianhua Stationers and Sriamas. Bearing 2 from the junction, drive 0.0770 km with the bearing of 180 degree until you reach the back entrance of Firefighter Industry. Bearing 3 from the back of Firefighter Industry, drive 0.0308 km with the bearing of 270 degree until you reach the junction between Yayasan Nanyang Press and Firefighter Industry. Bearing 4 from the junction between Yayasan Nanyang Press and Firefighter Industry, drive 0.0462 km with the bearing of 180 degree until you see a overhead bridge. Bearing 5 from the bridge, drive 0.262 km with the bearing of 90 degree until you see high ref Southern Bikes on the left side. Bearing 6 from high ref Southern Bikes, drive 0.0770 km
from Jalan SS7/2, enter Jalan Kemajuan Subang and drive 200 meters at the bearing of 074 until you reach the traffic light. Bearing 8, turn to the bearing of 180 after passing the traffic light and drive for 76.5 meters until you reach the second traffic light. Bearing 9, turn to the bearing of 262 and enter the Federal Highway. Drive 308 meters until you've passed the train station. Bearing 10, continue down the Federal Highway at the bearing of 264 for 1.05 kilometers until you see a pedestrian crossing bridge. Bearing 11, continue down the Federal Highway at the bearing of 280 for 323 meters until you see the Crocodile Farm Seafood Village.
Bearing 12, near Subang Raya RP Drive with a bearing of 272 degrees for 154 meters until you reach a sharp turn in the road. Bearing 13, then drive for 200 meters with a bearing of 279 degrees just before the road that splits into two lanes. Bearing 14, drive 139 meters with a bearing of 277 degrees on the right lane before it splits again. Bearing 15, drive 123 meters with a bearing of 115 degrees, taking the left lane until you're on the Subang-Kelana Jaya link, nearing the Federation of Reproduction of Health Associations. Bearing 16, drive 154 meters with a bearing of 180 degrees until you get to the sharp turn next to Jalan SS15/5C, entering SS15 Courtyard till bearing 17.
From bearing 17, from the start of Jalan Kemajuan Subang, drive 70.8 meters with a bearing of 270 degrees until you reach Subang Parade. Bearing 18, from Subang Parade, drive 246.2 meters with a bearing of 240 degrees until you reach the end of Jalan Kemajuan Subang. Bearing 19, from the end of Jalan Kemajuan Subang, drive 338.5 meters with the bearing of 150 degrees until you reach SS15 Courtyard. Bearing 20, from SS15 Courtyard, drive 307.7 meters with the bearing of 180 degrees until you reach the end of Jalan Persiaran Jengka. Bearing 21. Lastly, from the end of Jalan Persiaran Jengka, drive 46.2 meters with the bearing of 90 degrees until you reach Chanai Cafe.